It's that one time of the year when space actors from all over the world come together and provide everyone with the latest in space information. The 69th Annual International Astronautical Congress is kicking off in Bremen, and we're here to cover it all. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to day one of IAC TV. I'm Sam Polly, ready to bring you everything you need to know about this year's World Congress. First though, we speak to Jean-Yves Le Gall, President of the IAF. Jean-Yves, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. What would you say at the moment is the current focus of the IAF?
I think that the IAF is evolving very quickly because space is evolving, and I am delighted to see that year after year we have more and more attendance, and we have more and more topics which are covered during the Congress.
So what should attendees be looking forward to this year, do you think?
Today it seems to me that innovation is key, and in particular here in Germany, because Germany is probably the country of innovation, and we have a lot of attendance because we are in the center of Europe, and a lot of people, in particular students, coming to this Congress.
So it's really looking to the future then?
Yes, looking to the future. We have a very young attendance, so building the future and doing this all together, and it's very exciting. I'm sure that we are going to have a very great week.
What do you think the future of space looks like then?
I don't know, and this is why it is so interesting, because you have people with a lot of ideas. Some ideas will really exist, some other ones will not exist, but at the end of the day, what is very exciting is to see all these people with so many ideas and what is so-called new space, but new space, in my opinion, is already old. In fact, it's the space of the future.
So why are meetings like this so important then?
Because once a year we have all the space community which is gathered in the same place, and the number of attendance is increasing dramatically, which is really a big achievement.
Well, congratulations on that achievement. Thank you for joining us. Have a great conference.
Thank you, and we will have a terrific week.
Joining me now is Senator Martin Günther from the city of Bremen. Martin, thanks for joining us. We've been hearing that there are record numbers of attendees at this year's conference. What does that mean to the city of Bremen?
Well, for the city of Bremen, that is quite important. The first IAC in 2003 was some booster for our space community, and I think that the IAC in 2018 will be also a booster for our space community. That shows how important it is to bring people together from all over the world, and that space is now on the mind of a lot of people.
You mentioned that you've already hosted this event once before. I imagine that the city of Bremen has changed a huge amount since then. How has it changed?
We have a very strong column in the space sector with the Galileo satellites, with the International Space Station, or parts for the International Space Station, with the upper stage of the Ariane rocket, with the service module for the American Orion space ferry. And that shows how important the space industry is for Bremen. And it is one of our key sectors in Bremen. We have automobile industry, we have a strong and traditional maritime industry. And we bring them all together because for us it is quite important to have key technologies, to spread the key technologies over different parts of our industry, and the space industry plays a major role for this.
This year's theme to the conference is involving everyone, and I know there's a lot of community involvement. What is that involvement and how important is that for the city?
We started in the beginning of January some campaign to say it's our space year in Bremen, Sternstunden, Star Hours 2018, because we think it's not only important to have a lot of participants at the IAC, to have a lot of scientific papers and good discussions with the specialists, but to show everyone in the public in Bremen, in Germany, how important the space industry is for our future. And I think therefore the IAC is quite new booster and a good booster for us.
Because there are a lot of students coming in this week, aren't there? And they're presumably students from Bremen.
Yeah, a lot of students and a lot of young students. That is quite important for us. I think the half of the participants from this IAC are under the age of 35. That is quite good for our economy. That's quite good for the public discussions we need for the future. And involving everyone means also to have more female astronauts, to have more girls who say, I would like to be an astronaut like Alexander Gerst is now, or like other US American astronauts we have. And therefore it is important to involving everyone.
So what do you think the future for Bremen looks like then?
I think that this IAC will again a booster for us, and with our strategy to strengthen the quality in our industry, to strengthen especially the strategy we have with space technologies. We have a good future as a city of space and also as a city of the industry in Germany.
Well, Martin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
In this new age of space exploration, organisations around the world are really pushing the boundaries. Let's take a moment now to see what some of them are doing.
The way people look at accessing space is changing pretty quickly. The difference now is that in 6 months you might start getting data from your first test satellite, and within a couple years you could be looking at getting full global coverage. So you're talking about speeds that are much, much different, and without having to build up your own satellite program in the process. Spire is a space-based data company that uses data from space to solve problems on Earth. We track ships, planes, and weather, all using our satellites, and then provide it to our clients through an API. Spire is working with the European Space Agency to develop what we call our Space as a Service program. That means we have extra space in our spacecraft to put other payloads in there. So companies or universities or government agencies, they can get their sensor into space, deployed into orbit, tested, and start getting data back.
We at IAC Artes program, we saw a gap for what we call space mission provider, and the whole idea of Pioneer is for those space mission providers is to be like a one-stop shop for the in-orbit demonstration with reasonable cost and reasonable schedule. The main goal of the Pioneer program is to stimulate innovation in space industry through those space mission providers like Spire. What is inspiring this program is that there is a vast opportunity to create new solutions and new ideas, and to find out how we could do affordable and quick access to space with European industry. And that is very much rewarding, and we are proud to help European industry to do so.
We've built a rock-solid satellite bus that's able to take in all new payloads, and so we can just sort of slot one in and get it up on the next launch to orbit. So we've got a whole slew of launch slots ready to go. They just sort of hop on the bus and we put them in space. Small satellites like ours are kind of leading the way in terms of number of satellites put in orbit. Due to that, they're becoming a very reliable way of getting data down. It's definitely changed the way people interact with orbit. to say that orbit is now a service, and the data that comes from orbit is now a service.
New space is where science, engineering, and business collide. This offers very exciting opportunities for developing novel technologies. Space has always been the game changer for our planet. It's actually very exciting to work with such innovative technology. No 2 days are similar. Challenges are very often complex and multidisciplinary. A can-do attitude and also teamwork are key to success.
Spire is bridging that gap, using space-based technologies to make life better on Earth, to save lives, to conserve resources, to protect our planet. In a short time, Spire has managed to build an entire satellite constellation that can monitor Earth 24/7 over anywhere on the planet. Given this dedication to exponential growth, imagine what Spire will be in 5 years, in 25 years. And that's what inspires me about this work. It's where Spire has been and how much it's bound to accomplish.
Spire have established and demonstrated a successful track record of building and launching small satellites with an impressive facility. And also Spire showed a very open and transparent approach. And we see that as a partnership with ESA, where ESA can bring its long experience and expertise in space for helping Spire developing their space business and commercial business.
Spire is going to be the company that provides that plug for people. That will contain a whole bunch of customer payloads. So coming to us with an idea, and then we come to you with an API at the end. And it's a pretty simple, almost data as a service transaction, rather than a big, huge spin up your own space program. And hopefully we're going to be doing a whole bunch of very, very interesting payloads for other people that expand what businesses have available to them in terms of data sets.
The work we do here enables technologies for deep space missions. We can make satellites work more efficient and more compact.
Our research helps us communicate and keep the world connected, even during natural disasters.
With the data we are analyzing here, we are increasing the knowledge of our solar system.
Sending an experiment above the Earth atmosphere, that's just something that not everyone can do.
It just not stays in theory or just in a concept, but actually we are able to test it. And it's just really excited to see things working.
Doing a space mission is a highly interdisciplinary undertaking. We are dealing with very complex systems. To be successful, you really have to cover all relevant disciplines. That's why we joined forces and founded the Space Research Center here at the Bundeswehr University in Munich. The Bundeswehr University in Munich trains officers of the German military, but on the other side, we are a research university doing research for the space agencies, for industry all over the world, working on the details, on technical details, but still having in mind the whole mission. Only then we can find local optimal solution to have a working space mission and a spacecraft.
This is the Library Structure Lab for the studies of aerospace engineering. FLOMES is a student team currently involving 60 students to provide so-called FLOMES module. This FLOMES module can be installed into sounding rockets, measuring strain or flight loads during the ascent of the rocket. We are participating in the program so-called Rexus-Bexus. We have 10 spaces on 2 rockets. FLOMES is just a small part of a huge experiment called Miriam 2 launch to simulate the entry of the Mars atmosphere.
In this lab we do space propulsion and particular electrical propulsion. We work on micronewton to millinewton systems. An example for a millinewton system is a so-called gridded ion thruster, heavy gas like xenon is ionized by radio frequency waves, and then we use grids with high voltage to extract ions or electrons. Another system for micronewton generation is based on vacuum arc principle. Here we have a solid propellant which we evaporate using an electric arc, and this is used for communication in space to position satellites very precisely.
In the navigation lab, we're working mainly in global navigation satellite systems. Currently, we're working in the design of Galileo's second-generation signals, which will offer a stronger service in terms of accuracy and reliability. GNSS cannot give always centimeter accuracy for all the applications, so we have added more sensors to offer integrity. One of these sensors is LiDAR. One of the examples of this sensor in space applications is autonomous navigation about small bodies. The UAV is supposed to fly around a small body using the algorithms that have been developed in the Institute.
We are the Space Communications Lab. We can communicate in all frequency bands to all the possible satellites within our view or sight or even beyond. We have the equipment and the personnel to perform true over-the-air testing for satellite algorithms, equipment, and technology. We, the Space Communications Lab, were part of a very huge project. Our job was to find out how does your transmitted signal change, or is it manipulated by our atmosphere when it's received at the International Space Station. The antennas were successfully installed on the International Space Station, and we are proud to be part of such a huge project.
At the Space Technology Lab, we are looking into mission analysis of spacecraft design and design of experiments, trying to improve subsystems of spacecrafts. In our group, we are involved in the radio science experiments, which are flying on different interplanetary spacecraft.
The radio science experiment on the Rosetta spacecraft is using the ground station on Earth and the communication system on the spacecraft itself. With our measurements, it was the first time we were able to directly measure the mass loss during the perihelion. With the New Horizons flyby in 2015, we were involved in the measurement of the Pluto system mass and also of the individual masses of Pluto and Charon. It's great to teach here at the University of the Bundeswehr. We can use the knowledge we are gaining to teach real-life projects.
The Bundeswehr University provides a huge amount of sports activities, soccer or basketball or volleyball.
The university is a very family-friendly environment, which is great for me and my little daughter.
The university creates a very culturally rich environment. Within our space communications group, we have 6 different nationalities from all over the world.
The Institute gives me the opportunity to work in different research projects while doing my PhD and earning a normal salary.
What I like here at the university is the easy way for cooperation. This is very beneficial for producing results, producing science, providing services to Earth.
Andoya Spaceport has a good location for a number of reasons. Number one, due to the fact that it is on an island, open waters towards the north, direct injection possibility for polar orbits. Number 2, the heritage of Andoya Spaceport. Through the past activities in sounding rockets, there are people who know the operations overall. And third, but not least, is the infrastructure. Andoya Spaceport is close to an airport, but also telemetry ground station like in Svalbard. Europe needs its own spaceport to launch satellites. For institutional missions, we have French Guiana, our European institutional spaceport. But overall, satellites tend to become more and more small, and in this sense, this is a huge commercial opportunity, and the market will drive its success.
Increased commercialization of technology and the way we approach the different space programs is a very, very important driver in what is now called new space. We are seeing development of new space systems, new technology, smaller satellites, newer and smaller and cheaper space launchers, which are all drivers in this domain. New space is not something that will replace the traditional space technology or space markets, but it's really complementary. Launch of small satellites is a challenge currently. Normally you would have to piggyback on a larger satellite and be tied to that particular launch into a particular orbit, which poses certain restrictions on how you could actually use your satellites effectively. Worldwide, there is actually a shortage in terms of launch capacity. You can see that in commercial telecom, where you have satellites sitting on the shelf for maybe 1 or 2 years. So there are a lot of development programs for small and micro launchers. That is needed in order to be able to select both your orbit and also your launch date. Andoya is a very interesting site for creating a spaceport, which would really be a European point for access to space for small launchers and the launch of microsatellites. Andoya and Norway has some very favorable geographical features. It's far north. You're able to launch directly into polar orbits. There is a large infrastructure already. There's a large airbase there, and we have been shooting sounding rockets since the 60s in this location. So there are a lot of infrastructure, a lot of competence and knowledge tied to this.
The prosperity of space is linked to the use of space application in our daily life. Mobile phones, positioning systems, we need it for maritime transportation systems, air transportation systems. Now the prosperity is directly linked to this evolution, and any modern society needs space applications more and more. Now for the region of Andoya, it is linked to direct and indirect activities around the spaceport.
Space technology is vital to security, sustainability and economic efficiency in today's society, and this is not least true for Norway. Satellites are of critical importance for the stewardship of our vast maritime areas. It enables important Norwegian industries such as fisheries, offshore oil activity and maritime transport. We're currently making an assessment of the potential for an investment in a satellite launch site at Andøya, and this is because the Norwegian government wishes to do our part to facilitate a commercially viable development of such a satellite launch site.
Norway spends approximately 100 million euros on different programs in ISA and EU every year on space. It's increasing, and Norway participates in many ISA programs as well as EU programs. So space industry is becoming more and more important in Norway. New space is emerging, and there are a lot of satellites expected to be launched in the coming years. It's increasing year by year, and the need for launch capacity is also increasing. So I'm confident that Andøya Spaceport will be an important part of European space industry in the future.
Surrey Space Centre really has pioneered small satellites for science, for communications and Earth observation, and indeed now navigation.
We are investigating missions where we are trying to address today's problems in a way affordable for society.
There's a growing problem in space with debris. Surrey Space Centre is leading the way with active debris removal demonstrations.
We support the next generation of engineers. We have to be creative and we have to sustain innovation in space.
The Surrey Space Centre was formed in the late 70s here at the University of Surrey in the UK, and the initial idea was to try to explore cost-effective technologies for space activities.
We had a small team of researchers who got together and built our first satellite, USAT-1, the first satellite launch in 1981. That was essentially the formation, the beginning of the Surrey Space Centre. Step by step, the Space Centre grew with research students and research staff focusing on how we could use commercial off-the-shelf components to build small but very capable and inexpensive microsatellites.
Today we have continued along that path to produce cost-effective technologies and cost-effective answers to new problems. The Surrey Space Centre has a capability to be able to put together missions from the early concept design down to building the hardware, then launching and operating in space and using the data for applications useful for the community.
We work on a whole variety of projects at the SSC, and this can be anything from radiation detectors throughout things like deployable optics. If you can think about a project that might be interesting for space, we're probably working on it.
Here at the Space Centre we can tackle a range of projects, from the very small student projects up to our largest projects have a budget of around, let's say, 15 million. What we try to do throughout our projects is to find different ways in a cost-effective manner to resolve a particular issue or a particular problem.
Space debris represents a hazard to all users of space. Removed debris is going to be the first time that there's been an attempt to demonstrate active debris removal in orbit.
Our mission, Remove Debris, that is sponsored by the European Community and also with partners around Europe, is aiming to demonstrate technologies that can be used to remove the most dangerous debris that are currently orbiting around the Earth.
The Remove Debris project consists of one large mothercraft that houses all of the experiments on board, and one by one the mothercraft will deploy the experiments and will operate the experiments in space, demonstrating capture, vision-based navigation and deorbiting techniques. We're going to simulate debris by use of a CubeSat, which will be ejected from the mothership, and we're going to use the camera to actually track the object and see how it moves. Next we have a net experiment. Again, we're going to deploy some debris, then the mothership will catch the debris, and all of this will be filmed using supervision cameras. Next we have the harpoon experiment. We're actually going to roll out a target and then fire a harpoon into the target. And the target's made to replicate the skin of a spacecraft which is already in space. Lastly, we're going to deploy the drag sail, and we're going to be able to track Remove Debris, the mothership, and we're about to see the change in its velocity and its attitude as it comes down as a result of deploying the drag sail. The Surrey Space Centre's role in Remove Debris is we are the consortium managers, but also we deliver several parts of the mission itself. So the CubeSats, the drag sail, and also part of the harpoon target assembly.
What we hope to be able to demonstrate is that this is actually possible to use these cost-effective technologies in order to do this for real and then going to capture real pieces of debris. The way we work at our projects is collaboration with other companies, research institutes around the world, like for example Airbus. Our main partner is the company SSTL that was actually formed within the Surrey Space Centre.
The Surrey Space Centre and SSTL really is an exemplar of academic and commercial synergy. The Space Centre undertakes long-term research into ideas, and when they are useful, then the company can pick up those ideas and put them into commercial missions.
As a university, it's really important to build these connections. It can provide students with a real novel opportunity to work firsthand with larger scale space organisations.
The Space Centre work with ESA, NASA, UKSA, because they work so well together from beginning to end of a project. It gets you involved in the entire process.
Our MSc students get the opportunity to interact with space engineers, and they derive the outcomes of their project based on the niche requirements of the space industry. Our postgraduate researchers, they also get the opportunity to work on real space missions, so they see how mission concepts evolve.
Surrey Space Center is a very great place to work in. We are able to work on satellites and to have very good top facilities for the job. I believe you can really grow and find your right path in the space career.
So the next exciting thing in space is going to be in-orbit assembly. We have a project running between SSTL and the Space Centre to demonstrate that in the next couple of years.
Surrey Space Centre is at the core of the future of space science because we're actually doing things in the space environment now, developing inflatable structures for space, deployable items for space.
Here at the Space Center, we help producing the technologies that will be useful for tomorrow, and at the same time we also help forming the future workforce that is necessary in years to come.
Bremen is in fact in the center of Europe, and it is quite exciting because in Europe we have a lot of people involved in space, in particular the young generation, and this is why probably this year we will have a new record in terms of attendance. Today we are going to have the opening ceremony. We have a lot of VIPs. We have all the heads of space agencies worldwide, and there are more and more space agencies, and I am sure that it will be an open ceremony as we never saw before. In the exhibition, in fact, you will have an overview of everything what is hot in space today, and with exhibitors coming from everywhere in the world, so it will be a very, very exciting exhibition. I think that probably what is the most exciting is all what is related to startups, because we have a lot of new ideas with young people, people coming from outside the space business and inventing in fact what will be space tomorrow. I think that after having attended this IAC in Bremen, people will be back home with a view of what will be the future in space.
CEOS, the group on Earth observation satellites, is working on organizing, developing and operating Earth observation missions worldwide. So we are an international team organizing this, and we have several working groups and virtual constellations to do that. But at the moment we are really focusing on major sustainable development goals, on climate and on disasters. As you've seen, there was a major disaster in Indonesia. We try to make sure that we support disaster management and risk management for disasters. We have the Paris Agreement, and we need the way to measure greenhouse gas monitoring, and there are lots of opportunities because agencies worldwide are using or developing a greenhouse gas monitoring, and we would like to build a global system which can help policymakers find out where the sinks and the sources of the carbon and greenhouse gases are worldwide. So we try to put all our efforts together to make a system which works for everybody and helps citizens around the world to make better decisions. Currently, the European Commission is the chair of CEOS for this year. We just started this initiative. Our group of experts has now written a white paper how to do it. Now in October in Brussels, we'll discuss that, and then we see how we can move this forward. It's important that we all pull our best efforts together to really have a comprehensive program. That means not only data from space, but also in situ data from all over the world, and to put our model capacity to good use for this. I'm very excited because we can really make a difference with this, because CO2 greenhouse gas monitoring is important for the future habitation of our planet. This is important for everyone, and to have a big team effort to do that globally, it's, I think, worldwide.
Well, I've come down to the exhibition floor to find out what you are most looking forward to about this Congress. Excuse me, can I just ask you, what are you most looking forward to about the Congress?
Well, what I'm most interested in is actually space activities of the whole world. I've been interested in space exploration since I was 4 years old. I'm from the United States, but I started writing to not only NASA, but space agencies around the world when I was 9. And so the opportunity to see exhibits here from all over the world, to meet other engineers and scientists from all over the world, to me is tremendously exciting.
We build satellites and operate satellites, and I would like to get a feel for what everybody else is doing and what cooperations we can go forward with.
I'm looking forward to the amazing opportunity to talk to people from all around the world and learn about what they're doing in the space industry.
I think it's Olympic game of space technology, so I am very interested in this conference.
I love the diversity of the conference. It's about space, and everybody talks about it at a platform of space. When I come here, I realize that our planet is in good hands, and all the space agencies are actually working on towards a better future.
The welcome celebration was absolutely terrific. It was terrific, and now it's my favorite. The spacey. It's spacey.
Well, that's it for today, but don't forget we'll be back every day of the Congress with more exclusive material. And in the meantime, you can watch all over the Convention Centre, in your hotel rooms and on YouTube. You can also catch up on the web with the latest developments in space and keep in touch. We'll see you tomorrow.